What is up guys, Stark here, and I am back doing another character spotlight, and in today's character spotlight I am taking a look at Summer Artoria Pendragon. So she is going to be the 5-star in the second banner that was introduced for the summer event, and she's an archer class, so she will change from a saber to an archer, and at level 90 she will have 14,553 HP and 11,276 attack. This will rank her 10th overall in HP and 24th overall in attack, giving her some very good stats. And if you do decide to max her out, she will end up with 17,943 HP and 14,343 attack. So for her additional stats, she has a 153 star weight, 8% on her star gain, and then for her Noble Phantasm generation on her attacks, she will have 0.59%, and on her defense, she will have 3%. So much like the writer Mordred, she is going to be capable of doing a lot of Noble Phantasm spam, and she has pretty good generation as far as like base generation for her Noble Phantasm, but she does have quite a few little tricks up her sleeve to help her along the way with being able to spam her Noble Phantasm. And we'll talk about one of those right now. So her first skill is going to be the Summer Splash A+, and this is a very good skill, allowing her to increase her own arts card effectiveness for 3 turns. And then in addition to that, she will also increase her entire party's defense for 3 turns. So this is on a 6-turn charge time at max level, which is pretty good, honestly. And for the arts card effectiveness increase, you're going to be getting a really good 30% at level 10 and 20% on the defense for the entire team at level 10 as well. So overall, this is a very strong skill. You know, she's definitely going to be centered more on the art setup and using Noble Phantasms, so having a skill like this is definitely going to benefit her. Next up for her second skill is going to be the Beach House Protection EX. This will recover her own HP as well as reduce her Noble Phantasm gauge by 10%. So this is one of those positive and negative skills where you get a good buff and a bad buff, or a debuff at the same time. And honestly, for a character that really wants to spam her Noble Phantasm, having to reduce your own Noble Phantasm gauge is pretty unfortunate, but you do get a pretty good HP recovery, you know, having a 5,000 HP heal at level 10, and it does max out at 4 turns, so you can spam this quite often. But yeah, that decrease in your Noble Phantasm gauge is really going to hurt unless you have a Noble Phantasm 2 Artoria, and then you just have like a little bit of the overcharge. You can just heal yourself, lose that 10%, which is no big deal if you're still over 100%. But most people aren't really going to have her at Noble Phantasm level 2. But she does have really good generation for her Noble Phantasm, so if you're not planning on using it that turn, you don't have to worry too much about it. So you just go ahead and heal and then attack, and you'll probably make it back up anyway. So she kind of offsets it a little bit, but just for the type of character she is, it's really unfortunate that she has that sort of negative status effect on her. Moving on to the third and final skill is going to be the Beach Flower B. This is the common skill for pretty much all of the summer characters, and it does the same thing, increase the party's attack for 3 turns, and then it will also increase the critical star generation rate for 3 turns to your male allies. And this will be a 18% increase to attack at level 10, and a 38% increase to critical star generation at level 10 on a 5-turn charge time. So now moving on to her passives, and she does have 3 of them, the first one being the Magic Resistance A, which will increase her debuff resistance by 20%. The second one is going to be the Independent Action A, which will increase her critical strength by 10%. And the third and final one is going to be the Territory Creation B, which will increase her arts card effectiveness by 10%. So now moving on to her Ascension. Her first Ascension is going to require 5 Archer pieces and 100,000 Quantum pieces. For her second Ascension, you're going to need 12 Archer pieces, 8 Seashells, 300,000 Quantum pieces. For her third Ascension, you're going to need 5 Archer Monuments, 24 Dragon Fangs, 10 Great Knight Medals, and 1 million Quantum pieces. And then for her final Ascension, you're going to need 12 Archer Monuments, 20 Great Knight Medals, 5 Reverse Dragon Scales, and 3 million Quantum pieces. And then for her skill enhancements, to max out a skill from 1 to 10, you are going to need 17 Gems of Archer, 17 Magic Gems of Archer, 17 Secret Gems of Archer, 36 Dragon Fangs, 15 Seashells, 15 Warhorse's Young Horns, 10 Spirit Roots, 1 Crystallized Lore, and 54,400,000 Quantum pieces. So now moving on to her command cards and her Noble Phantasm. For her command card deck, she's going to have 2 quick, 2 arts, 1 buster, and as I said previously in the video, that she is primarily going to focus on the arts cards, with her Noble Phantasm being arts as well, and you know, being able to spam her Noble Phantasm quite often. But she does have 2 quick cards, and you can do a lot of crit damage with her. And for her hit counts, she's got 4 hits on the quick, 3 on the arts, 3 on the buster, and 5 on her extra attack. So all of her cards have a pretty good amount of hits. So again, this is going to help her with her Noble Phantasm generation greatly, being able to get all of those extra hits in. And then for her Noble Phantasm, as I said, it is a arts card that will deal damage to 1 enemy, and then it also has a 70% chance to reduce that enemy's Noble Phantasm gauge by 1, and on the overcharge it will also charge her own Noble Phantasm gauge. So this is a very good Noble Phantasm that has a good list of, you know, extra effects, you being able to decrease the charge of the enemy as well as restore some of your own gauge. It does have a few drawbacks though, being the fact that the chance to decrease the charge on the enemy doesn't change. It's going to be 70% regardless, and you know, that kind of sucks. You know, it would have been better if it kind of gradually got better, maybe having a 100% at max charge, but it is what it is. It's 70%, so you're still going to get it off pretty frequently, and you are going to spam your Noble Phantasm as well. So more often than not, you will get this to get, you know, go ahead and get triggered. And then you will get a little bit of a refund on your Noble Phantasm, having a 20% refund on level 1 going up to a 40% at level 5. So even at level 1 with a 20% refund, it's still going to be very helpful in allowing you to spam your Noble Phantasm on multiple turns, or just charge it that much faster. And it does do some really good damage as well. And overall, it's just a very powerful Noble Phantasm, especially since you can spam it very frequently. It also does have 10 hits, so you are going to be getting a lot out of that. So now moving on to some of the craft essences you can use on this character. First up is going to be her Bond craft essence, which is going to be the Champion Cup. And while equipped, this will increase the attack of all your allies by 15% while on the field. So this is your generic attack increase craft essence. But some other options you could use are the Black Grail. So this is really nice because you'll be able to boost your Noble Phantasm damage by 60%, which is definitely going to be a good option since you're going to be using it often. You do lose 500 HP every turn, but having a skill that heals you by 5,000 at max level on a 4-turn charge times means you're definitely going to be able to out-heal yourself as opposed to losing the damage from the Black Grail. So you really don't even need to worry about it. Another good option is another ending, which will increase your arts card effectiveness by 10% and your critical strength by 20%. So this is really nice, probably the best in my opinion to use, because it plays into both of Saber's strengths with crit damage and the arts effectiveness. So you get the best of both worlds there, and again, as I said, it's probably my choice to use. But if you want to go for the straight increase to arts card effectiveness, you do have the Formal Craft for the 25% bonus. So now moving on to some of the servants you can combo with Artoria, and the first one is going to be Mash. So one of the main drawbacks from Artoria being an archer is that she really doesn't have any sort of evasion skills, so she can't avoid the enemy's Noble Phantasm turn. Now she does have a heal and she does have a defense skill, but again, she lacks that evasion. And that's where Mash comes into play, being able to use a invincibility skill on her, as well as increasing her Noble Phantasm gauge, which will help her spam her Noble Phantasm much faster. She also does have defense skills, and she can do an attack increase as well. So overall, she kind of makes up for some of the things that Artoria lacks, and they make a really good combination together. So next up, the next 3 really are going to be the same as Ryder Mordred, as they pretty much do the same thing. You just want to get Artoria's Noble Phantasm filled as quickly as possible. So next up is going to be Bride Nero. She offers a lot of support for Artoria, being able to increase her Noble Phantasm gain, her attack. It can even heal her and increase her defense. So you can use this as opposed to using Saber skill, and then you don't lose your Noble Phantasm gain. And then she does have a heavy arts deck as well. So overall, they combo very well together. Next up is Tamamo no Mei. Now again, she is a staple in any arts deck, and you know, especially with Artoria when you're trying to spam your Noble Phantasm, being able to reduce the cooldowns of her skills as well is going to be very helpful. It can heal her, increase her gauge. You know, she has that huge arts card bonus. You know, you can have a 50% increase to your arts card effectiveness as well as healing. We have Waver as the final person, and he does it all. Increases critical strength, Noble Phantasm, gauge, attack, defense, has an arts card deck, so he can also stun the enemy. You know, he combos really well with Artoria's Noble Phantasm, being able to also decrease the charge and then stun. So you're kind of just going to prevent the enemy from using their Noble Phantasm more often than not. And yeah, you know, not much else to say there. Good combination. So now moving on to the actual star ranks, and first up is going to be her stats, which is going to get the full 5 stars. You know, she's top 25 in both HP and attacks, so really can't expect anything else there. For her skills, I'm giving her 4 stars. I would have given it a little bit of a higher ranking, but she does lose the 10% to her gauge when you use her second skill, which is, in my opinion, a really big drawback, but not enough to really like knock off a lot of points, because you can get around it with a lot of different things. And you know, she does have good Noble Phantasm generation on her own, so like I said, you could just use the skill and get your 10% back on the same turn. So yeah, 4 stars. Next up, for her Noble Phantasm, I'm giving her 4.5 stars. She has a very good Noble Phantasm, does a lot of damage. It can be spammed frequently. It has a lot of good effects, being able to decrease the charge of the enemy as well as get a little bit of a refund, and it does have 10 hits as well. So overall, it is a very, very good Noble Phantasm to have. For her survivability, I am giving her 4 stars in this. I did say she lacks a evasion skill, but she does have insanely high HP, a defense skill, and a heal, so she really is definitely deserving of that 4 stars. And then for her versatility, she's also getting 4 stars. This is primarily because you want to focus the team around her, and so you're going to have to bring certain support characters into your team in order to make her like the best she can be. You can't really just you can throw her onto any team, but you won't really reach her full potential if you just throw her onto any team and expect to be able to just use your Noble Phantasm frequently. So she does lose a few points there just because you kind of want to build your team around her, but if you have the right units, she's definitely going to benefit from that, and if you can pull the team off, she's going to be a very hard servant to stop. So that will give her overall ranking a 4.3 out of 5. She is a fantastic servant. I'm very glad I got her. If you didn't watch my video, go watch that because it was pretty cool. So yeah, I didn't get Mordred, so I'm really happy I got Saber because I wanted her more actually, but it doesn't hurt as much not getting Mordred. So yeah, overall, very good character. Very happy I have her. I will be leveling her up as quickly as possible so I can throw her up as a support and use her in whatever fight I need her in. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. I will leave you here with Artoria's Noble Phantasm, and I will see you guys next time.
Swimming の時間です。